My first suggestion, Naz Reid of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is 65% rostered. So in a lot of leagues, he's going to be off the table. But in 10-teamers, he could be out there, especially in weekly waiver leagues. 26 minutes off the bench last night. Don't want to bury the lead. Karl Anthony Towns is most likely out for the rest of the regular season, especially the rest of the fantasy season. 26 minutes last night for Naz Reid, 13 points only, but he took 15 shots, which, yes, bad efficiency, but it's a good sign on the volume standpoint. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. When he sees at least 26 minutes this season, 17 points, 7 rebounds, assist and a half, and 1.8 stocks. On the whole season, regardless of who's in, who's out, 1 fantasy point per minute. So in points leagues, all he needs is about 25, 26 minutes a game to be worth a roster spot. Minnesota only has 2 games next week. So Reid, this is a long-term play. If you're streaming, this is not a streamer. This is like you add Naz Reid for the rest of the year kind of a play.
Amen. Hard to argue. I similarly have a highly rostered but need to mention this name player in Kelly the Clinic Olynyk, the former Celtic, former Heat, former Rocket, former Jazz, current Toronto Raptor is 66% rostered, so only available in a third of leagues. But as Alex said, hey, in weekly waiver wire leagues, you could be out there. And he's only rostered in 20% of ESPN leagues. He's now starting for the Raptors with Scotty Barnes out for the season. Look, you're going to love the Clinic one night. He's going to break your heart the next. He was overmatched last night by Kevin Durant. Most people are in that Suns game last night. But hey, Toronto loves him. They just extended him 2 more seasons, and he's Canadian. The Raptors are just collecting Canadians. They love Canadians. Per 36 this season, Olynyk with almost 15 points, 8.5 boards, over 7 dimes, 2.1 stocks, over 1 3-pointer with strong percentages. When he's playing well, he gets you a little bit of everything. Plus, obviously, that sweet hairstyle. Kelly the Clinic Olynyk is my first waiver wire check for the week.
As James Chan mentioned and commented here, the lunch lady is back. I love it. My first waiver wire suggestion of the week is Royce O'Neale, swingman for the Phoenix Suns, 35% rostered. O'Neale has averaged 11.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 2.8 3-pointers, and 1.5 steals plus blocks in 33 minutes per game over the past 4 contests. Devin Booker is expected to be out until at least March 14th with an ankle injury. And O'Neal's been a top 60 player over the past week. We've already seen him fill in as a spot starter for Grayson Allen, for Bradley Beal. Now it's Booker. He's probably... I just feel like the Suns are going to always have one guy who's nursing some kind of minor injury, and O'Neale will be getting heavy run. Even if he moves to a bench role again, he will be seeing as much run off the bench as any other player in the Suns rotation. He's never going to pop off for 30 points in a night, but he gives you nice, well-rounded production, and I think he's worth a look in many 12-team leagues, at least until Booker returns.
My next waiver wire suggestion, Caris LeVert of the Cleveland Cavaliers, 45. Donovan Mitchell is out through the weekend. No real reason to rush him back after he got a platelet-rich plasma injection into his knee. Evan Mobley might also be out for the rest of the regular season. That's a longer-term injury. And to be honest, if you're in some deeper leagues, look, Dean Wade, George Niang, Isaac Okoro, if you need to stream them in, you got to do what you got to do. But in the vast majority of leagues, it's the Caris LeVert show here. LeVert's past 5 games, 13.2 points, 8.2 assists, 6.2 rebounds, and 1.6 stocks. He has improved defensively this season. That's an important note, something the Cavaliers coaching staff has mentioned. And then all those stats were in 32 minutes. He's averaging over a fantasy point per minute in the stretch. The assists are obviously huge. So, yes, Donovan Mitchell might come back early next week. He also might not. And if he doesn't, it's great. And if he does, it's like LeVert's going to be fine. You're not going to get killed if you throw LeVert in your starting lineup and Mitchell comes back.
Well said. Well said. Well, speaking of Max Strus, how about a little Duncan Robinson? Robinson has slipped down to 50% rostered. Frequent free agent pickup mentioned on this show and others. He started 8 of the last Heat games for Miami. In those 9 games, almost 16 points, 4.5 assists, 3.7 triples, shooting over 50% from the field and 90% from the charity stripe. Look, you pick up Robinson to get threes, points, and percentages when he's on a heater. He's on a heater now. Miami, though, with only 3 games next week. But if you need threes, if you need points, Robinson is a nice pickup right now.
Yes, he is.
Absolutely.
Shannon.
So my next waiver wire suggestion is Kyle Slo Mo Anderson. Shang Feng Yang asks, would you consider Kyle Anderson a must-add in category leagues? Not a must-add. Not a must-add, especially if you watch.
Slowly move to your waiver wire.
He hasn't been playing as well. Last year he was pretty solid for the Timberwolves. Last year 9.5, 5 and 5, gave you 2 stocks per game. He doesn't hit 3-pointers, but the percentage, at least the field goal percentage was solid last year. I'm not a big fan of Kyle Anderson this year, but as long as he's starting, I think he's worth a stream. Like Alex mentioned with Naz Reid, only 2 games next week, 34% rostered. That has moved up about 10% in the last 24 hours. Slo Mo can still provide about top 120 value if he's seeing close to 30 minutes per game. And he is a sneaky source of assists. That's where, if you're really looking for someone, we've got Duncan Robinson, we've got Royce O'Neale, now we got Kyle Anderson, all decent, sneaky sources of assists.
My long shot of the week, Vasilije Micic of the Charlotte Hornets, who is 15% rostered in Yahoo leagues. I know there's some dead leagues out there, but I was shocked to see this was only 15% roster for Micic. Cody Martin and Seth Curry are out for at least the next 2 weeks. And in Charlotte Hornet terms, that means their careers are over. Over the past 3 games for Micic, basically since these Cody Martin and Seth Curry were ruled out, Micic 15.3 points, 5.7 assists, couple rebounds, and 2 steals in 31 minutes. Since the All-Star break, 9 points and 6 assists, basically average. Just pick him up for the assists. I mean, you don't even have to think about any other stats. Just add him. Especially the Hornets have 4 games next week. So he's an amazing stream. He could get you 20, 24 assists easily.
I'm going to that mess in Memphis and taking Jake LaRavia. Look, he could take any Grizzly. Who knows who the heck's playing for Grizzlies for the rest of the season? But on Wednesday, he had 32 minutes off the bench in the win at Philadelphia. 17 points, 13 points, 3 blocks. Really had a lot of nice hustle putbacks around the rim. And as Shannon's mentioned, when will Jaren Jackson Jr. just sit for the rest of the season? If I'm the Grizzlies, I sure don't want Jackson getting hurt. Last 4 games for LaRavia, 15 points, almost 7 boards, over 1.5 stocks, and 1.3 triples. It is LaRavia. I searched his highlights online last night. I really wanted to say LaRavia. Anyway, he can create his own shot. He can score off the dribble. He can hit threes. And for a guy who's 6'7", he gets a surprising amount of blocks. I could see him getting a lot of run for the Grizzlies.
I'm calling a little bit of an audible here. I'm going to do a 2-for-1 for my my long shot. Grady Dick, lottery pick for the Toronto Raptors, and Ochai Agbaji, who has been starting for the Raptors since Scotty Barnes went down. We'll talk about Agbaji first. 3 consecutive starts since Barnes suffered his broken hand. In the first spot start, 13 points, 9 boards, 2 blocks, while taking a whopping 20 field goal attempts from the floor. The past 2 starts have been pretty rough, but he left one of those with a minor knee injury. The knee looks good now. He returned to action last night against the Suns. Not a great game, though. His offensive rating was a pathetic 50.1. Agbaji, I think he can hit some threes. He can put up some defensive stats. He has the skill set to do so. Hasn't really been there yet. There's going to be some rough outings, but if you're in a deep enough league, he's a stream option to consider at the very least. Grady Dick is another guy I actually like. He can knock down 3-pointers. They have Toronto actually has quite a bit invested in him. They selected him 13 overall in the most recent draft. He had a solid game last night off the bench. 31 minutes, 12 points. Mainly a 3-point guy. He was 4 for 10 from downtown last night. So if you need threes, Grady Dick is an option to look at. He is 10% roster on Yahoo, while Agbaji is 5% rostered. So both widely owned.